Good morning, Pastor Mike, Ascension Lutheran Church, Wichita, Kansas. Once upon a time, in 382 AD to be exact, Eve bit into an apple. Seeing that it was good, she offered the apple to Adam, and he also took a bite, whereupon Adam and Eve's eyes were opened and they realized they were naked. Ashamed at having broken God's sole commandment not to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, Adam and Eve hid themselves when God came walking in the garden. And the rest, as they say, is history. Now, prior to 382 AD, no one knew exactly what the forbidden fruit Adam and Eve ate was. Genesis uses only the general word fruit, free. God said, "You may eat of any fruit free, but you may not eat the fruit from the Atz Hada'ah Tov Vara, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil." The Hebrew of Genesis does not specify which edible fruit that tree produced. So why did I say that Eve bit into an apple in 382 AD? Because that's when Pope Damasus I asked St. Jerome to translate the Old Latin Bible into the simpler Latin Vulgate, which became the definitive edition of the Bible for the next 1,200 years. All quotations of Scripture in any religious writing, in any worship service, in any sermon was from the Latin Vulgate. So, how did the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil become an apple? To discover how that happened, one must know Latin. The word for bad or evil in Latin is malus. In law, a malum prohibitum is a class of tort that literally means bad deeds prohibited by law. Latin is an inflected language, which means that possessive nouns, direct objects, or indirect objects are indicated by a change of the last letter or two at the end of a base word. Word order doesn't make any difference like it does in English. For example, to make proper sense in English, one would write, Eve gave Adam the fruit. Eve is the subject, fruit is the direct object, and Adam is the indirect object. If you switch any of those nouns around, Eve, Adam, or fruit, it would change the meaning. Not so in Latin. Each word would have a different ending, so no matter where they occurred in the sentence, you know their usage. So, here is how the fruit became an apple. We all know it was bad to eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It was disobedience to God's command. The direct object form of malus in Latin for bad is malum. Malum also happens to be the Latin word for apple. The similarity between malum in the accusative masculine singular form of bad and malum in the nominative neuter singular form of apple prompted St. Jerome to pick that word to describe the fruit Adam and Eve ate, thereby ushering bad and evil into the world. The truth is the apple is innocent. And this unjustly maligned fruit's association with original sins comes down to nothing more than a pun. The technical name of a pun is a paronomasia. Puns straddle that happy fault line where sound and sense collide, where surface similarities of spelling or pronunciation meet with conflicting seams of meaning. By grafting the idea of bad onto the word apple, St. Jerome ensured that every time we recall Adam and Eve's fateful disobedience in the garden, we are reminded of the fruit of a deciduous tree of the rose family. The apple is innocent, but we are not. It was Eve who took the fruit and consciously chose to eat it. It was Adam who listened to his wife and unconsciously ate the fruit. Both were guilty of disobedience. Both had committed a malum prohibitum against God's law. Both deserved punishment for their sin. You and I also are just as guilty as Adam and Eve when it comes to disobeying God, of choosing to disobey, of wanting to scoot God off the throne of our life and ensconce ourselves on that throne, thinking that we know best, at least better than the one who made us. The punishment for disobedience is severe: death. We would be subject to that punishment had God not had mercy on us as He did Adam and Eve. Instead of killing them immediately, He had mercy on them and promised a Redeemer. They would still die, but even though they die, they would live again by faith in the coming Redeemer. Jesus is that Redeemer. God made Him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that we might become right before God. Right before God, like Adam and Eve before their fall into sin. Right before God, like restored to the image of the Creator. That's who you and I are as believers, as people redeemed by Christ the crucified. We are as Adam and Eve were before the fall, before Eve ate the apple or some other fruit. Who really knows? I pray you live your day in the freedom of God's restorative forgiveness. Thank you.